Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, stories from the 78 at the Athenaeum Theater right here on Southport in the Lakeview neighborhood. Thomas Ian Nicholas Band performs tonight. You know Tom. He's Kevin from American Pie. He's in Rookie of the Year. He's in a whole bunch of stuff. He's got a show on Amazon right now, Amazon Prime. I'm going to talk to him about his career throwing out the first pitch at Wrigley Field, and what it's like playing in front of a live audience opposed to being behind a camera for a movie. That is the story from the 78 now, here from the Athenaeum Theater in Lakeview. All right, so inside the hallowed halls of the Athenaeum Theater, I'm here with my buddy Tom. Man, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I was just saying this before we got on, this is my first time actually doing an interview with you after knowing you for 16 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Look, I'll flip it on both of us. First time we've been on camera together. So there you go. But we've, like you said, for 16 years, I started a relationship with you back when I was at WGN. And here we are all these years later. You're still rocking it, coming to Chicago. You threw out the first pitch at Wrigley yesterday. Talk about that real quick, because I don't know, I tend to not ask people who do really cool things, the nerd out, how was that really cool thing you did, but I think I'll do it this time.
You know, it's funny that you say that, because I remember when I first met you, I think I was here doing the first pitch, performing with my band. My first album had just dropped, and I thought, this is a once in a lifetime sort of moment. I was so nervous being on the field and throwing out the first pitch. Yeah. I'm not gonna say that I've become numb to it, but I definitely, when I take new people with me to be on the field and I'm throwing out the first pitch and they ask me if I'm nervous and I'm not, I realize that sometimes when you get to do cool things enough times, you sort of forget, but you have to remind yourself to not take it for granted. Mm-hmm. So I don't get nervous, but I also try not to take it for granted, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. I mean, I would imagine that you'd be terrified to bounce it in, especially since you did a whole movie where you threw like 140 miles an hour.
I did bounce it. I failed last year, so starting at the 20th anniversary, which was 11 years ago, because now I've been throwing out the first pitch every year for 16 years, minus that 1 year we don't need to talk about.
Right, sure.
And so 11 years ago I floated it. 6 years ago with Amy Morton, we reenacted the whole float it scene, like with mother and son.
Right, which is your mom in the
movie. Yeah.
She's also on the Chicago PD series here in Chicago. People know her from there.
Oh
too.
yeah, she is Chicago.
Yeah.
Amy Morton's amazing. So she didn't want to throw the first pitch. So we did the whole reenactment where she told me, like I was like, I pulled off the tape and it was like Mom, it was you, and then they cut to like a close up on the big screen of Amy. So I threw a perfect strike floater. So I thought, oh, I know how to do the floater. So every 5 years, like on the important years, I do it. Last year was the 30th. It landed in the grass. Oh. But it was the floater, like it was still funny, you know.
Well, and people who know the movie will appreciate it.
Yeah, but I mean, I was so short.
You have a lot going on this year, though. I mean, you just mentioned Rookie of the Year, and how many years?
31 years ago was when it came out.
25 with American Pie.
Yeah.
This is your 7th album that you put out with your band. A lot going on for you.
There is a lot going on, yeah. Playing 100 shows, shooting a TV show in Vegas right now on my off days. So normally I get to go home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The last couple Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays I've been in Vegas shooting the TV show. You know, I mean, I drink a lot of coffee. Yeah. And I don't ever sleep.
Yeah, sure.
And so that gives me the ability to do so many things in the course of a year.
What's your favorite thing to do in the course of the year?
I mean, I'm doing it, you know. I mean, I'm on Monday through Wednesday, I'm home with my kids. My son is 12. He's in the TV show with me, and he was in the last TV show.
What's the name of the show?
The new one is called A Motel. It will be out on a streaming service, one of the major ones next year. Yeah. The last one was Underdeveloped, which you can watch on Amazon now for free, the whole first season. My son plays Tom Arnold's son on the show. And so yeah, so I'm on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm home with my kids most weeks. And then, you know, I'm on the weekends, I'm touring with my band, and then obviously shooting the show. So I mean, I'm doing everything that I love to do.
Yeah, and when you're on stage and you're singing in front of a crowd, is it the same kind of high that you get on stage as you do in front of a camera when you're acting out a scene for a movie or a TV show?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, like, obviously a film is its own kind of deal because it's maybe once or twice a year that I get to be in front of the camera in that capacity. Because obviously that's much different than an interview, you know,
of course.
when I'm playing a character that I've prepared for and is outside of myself versus an interview, which I try to just be myself. But yeah, being on stage and performing with the band is definitely a high. The work is getting there. It's the plane travel, it's the, the car rides, it's the hotel rooms, it's being away from home. That's the work part of it. And then when I get to be on stage and I'm performing, that's when you forget about all that and you get that like 1 hour of awesome. And that's sort of the best part of tour.
Well, let's go for a little walk. Let's go walk in a theater, just because I think this is an old historic theater in Chicago. It's been around since 1911, I believe is what they said.
Yeah, it was built in 1911.
The Athenaeum Theater right here in Lakeview, right off of Southport. So we're walking in. This is where we're going to be playing tonight on the main stage here in the theater. You just did a little something for us on CBS Chicago, and that's why your guitar's hanging out there. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to come into this old theater. Do you get a thrill of performing in theaters that are, older versus like, a restaurant maybe that just makes a pseudo stage or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta get a shot of these ceilings because like,
I know, right?
it's one of those things where I don't know if you've noticed this, but like modern architecture is so plain.
It's so boring.
And straight lines, and it's like geometric shapes, whereas like they put so much detail into things that were built 100 years ago.
Absolutely.
And like even still, there was this era of covering them up. I don't know if you're familiar with the El Capitan Theater in Los Angeles.
Sure.
When Disney bought it, apparently there was a false ceiling, and they like tore the false ceiling out and revealed like all these inlays that they restored, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I guess in like the 70s and 80s, we like covered all this stuff up, and now the modern, architecture is boring as, anyone can imagine.
Yes.
But, I mean, look, this one's not like as crazy as like, let's say the El Cap. It doesn't have, but you can still see some bevels and and some gold inlays on those bevels.
But I mean, this 1911 in this neighborhood, just a little bit north of downtown. This is a true gem of a theater in general, especially for Chicago, and led the way to like theaters like the Chicago Theater, the Niederlander Theater that was called something else years ago, or even like the Aragon Ballroom, the Rib, all those things, which I'm sure you've made your way through some of those theaters in all of your travels or performances. So I gotta imagine old houses like this are just a little bit more fun to play in.
Yeah, it's not often that in a band that's alternative or pop punk that we get into a venue like this. So I'm pretty excited that we have the Runaround performing tonight, because that's as punk as it gets.
Yeah.
And being in the theater, I think is actually really kind of like, I don't know. It's funny to me in a personal way. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, no, it's like it would be like a punk band playing, like on the White House lawn. It seems a little off, but hey, why not? Seize the day, right?
Well, it'd be like putting Shakespeare in like a some like hole in the wall bar.
Like Delilah's, Shakespeare and Delilah's on Lincoln Avenue in Chicago. 25 years of American Pie. You were Kevin in that show, and that's a huge cast. You guys have all gone on to do all the different things. Do you guys have a reunion of some kind where you guys get back all together to chat about it, or do like how they do like the screening and then you guys all sit on stage and do that kind of talk or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, they did a reunion 5 years ago for Entertainment Tonight. I was on tour with my band, so I didn't make it. They wanted me to like shoot a video and send it in. I was like, I'm not doing that. That's so dumb. Like reporting to you live from his iPhone. I was like, no thanks. So I was bummed to have missed that and see my friends, but I still stay in touch with everyone over text. There's a lot of talk about maybe all of us doing some like fan events like Comic-Cons.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I think people would be into. I mean, Universal's been circling around the idea of American Pie 5 since the summer of 2021. So when my son was starring in the movie Old, the M. Night movie on the beach, we were in New York for the premiere, summer of 2021, ran into the, president of features thing. On a personal note, is I've had long-standing plans with Sean William Scott. He's gonna hate me for sharing this. For us to like have lunch or dinner for 18 years.
18 years.
18 years.
Where was the place you were discussing? Let's at least get.
I mean, it was just like he lives in Malibu. I'm in the Valley, so I mean, I'm sure he'd prefer that I go to Malibu,
Sure.
which is like its own world in LA. But it's just the idea that he'll text me. I'll be like, yeah, let's do it. And then, or no, I'm out of town. How about next week? And then the plans just like the wheels fall off the bus every single time. To the point where like when I was shooting Adverse in 2018, I went to like have a meeting with my production designer on the Warner lot, who was also, his team was also working on the Lethal Weapon TV show, which Sean was doing. So I surprised him on set. He had no idea that I was gonna be there that day, because I was like, oh, is Sean working? Like, I'll go say hi. So of course he says, let's have that lunch. I'm here, you know.
Yeah, we're here, let's do it.
I'm staying in the Valley because I'm at Warner Brothers. I'm not in Malibu during this time. I looked at him and I go, you know we're not gonna actually go to lunch, right? He's like, no, we're gonna really do it this time. Clearly we didn't, because it's 18 years. So
well, hopefully it will be a shorter amount of time, and maybe it'll be over a conversation of a new movie that you work on, either American Pie movie or another movie that you guys could work on together. Because I think, like you said, I think the universe out there is still clamoring for it. And just discussing things off camera, you know, I think Hollywood has figured out that people like what they like, and they want more of what they like, and they're figuring that out slowly, probably more than anybody would hope for, but they'll get their act together at some point, right?
Well, there's a lot of like old time sequels now. We got Happy Gilmore 2 in the works, and you know, there's lots of ones.
Axel Foley just put out a new Beverly Hills Cop movie.
And apparently my buddy Joe Gordon-Levitt stole my look. He's got, you know, the long hair, the beard, and everyone's like a bunch of people hit me up. They're like, I didn't know you were in the new Beverly Hills Cop movie. I was like, that's not me, that's Joe.
Thanks, though. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Tonight you're playing. You go on stage, I think, around the 9-ish hour. The doors open at 6:30, I believe. Where can people buy tickets?
There's tickets on the Athenaeum website. You can go to my website. There's a link there. You can Google search it and find tickets. They're not hard to get. We have a new special tier that we opened back up and added some $20 tickets. There's also a meet and greet option upgrade if you want to come early, a half hour before doors, to do a meet and greet and photos and get a signed, you know, American Pie picture.
Sure.
And then, you know, the first band, Eugene Levy, the band, not the actor, will be on, and then the runaround. And then my buddy Mark Rose from Spitalfield, he's been doing a lot of tours. He played at Riot Fest with Spitalfield last year, and they just did a bunch of tours with Hawthorne Heights. So this is his first solo show in a minute. And then my band.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for you to get on stage, and I imagine just playing in Chicago is a good time too. The crowds here, from every band that I've ever interviewed, they all love coming to Chicago because it's just a little different than everywhere else.
Yeah, Chicago is a good spot, and especially a good spot for live music. It's one of those towns for me that I think Illinois in general and the UK are my two like hot spots, because they're where I can go 4 times a year, and people who enjoy my show will come back and see me again. Whereas when I play in LA, someone's like, oh, I saw your band, you're awesome, and that means I'll never see them again.
Yeah, that's the difference between LA and like Illinois, right? Or Chicago.
No, Chicagoans, like, if they like music or a band, they will come and support and experience it again. So Chicago is very much a live music town.
Right, you did some stuff yesterday after the Cub game. You're running around all day. You're on WGN Radio later, WGN TV. You'll be all over the place, and then you'll somewhere in that try to find 5 minutes of sleep, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's no time for sleep, just more coffee. Bring on the coffee.
All right, well, and that, I believe, I saw something about comparing you to like the vocal style of Dave Grohl, which he also lives on pots of coffee.
Fresh pots?
Yeah, exactly. Tom, thank you so much for taking time to chat with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Tom, very, very fun to finally do an interview with you after 16 years of booking interviews with you. And performances with the band.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the websites, the storiesfromthe78.com and tombarnishchicago@gmail.com. Come out, watch my friend Tom tonight here at the Athenaeum Theater.
Right on.